shout out to Evil D, Mr. Walt, the Beatminerz. That's my alma mater. That's my college. That's where I started. You know what I'm saying? I always salute and respect the architects, you know, that allowed me the opportunity to be where I'm at today. I basically was hanging out a lot at the Music Factory, you know what I'm saying, when Mr. Walt was running the store. You know, I used to buy all my vinyl, my 12 inches, just as a young kid, aspiring DJ, fan of hip hop. And I used to always buy my 12 inches there in Jamaica, Queens, New York. And I felt like it was important to build a relationship with the store as I kept coming in there. And as I was interning in Power Play Studios, and I was starting to see the other side of the industry and get a sneak peek from fresh out the studio, new music exclusively. You know, you might get a copy from an engineer, something on tape, or get an advanced copy of the album before it come out. So it was like, as a fan, it was a fun thing to do. And I used to be like, yo, Walt, I got the new G-Rap album before it came out.
When I used to work in Jamaica, Queens, at Music Factory, Paul was one of my best friends out there. And his knowledge of music, it was just above par.
We kind of built the bar from there, and I used to hang out with his crib in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And that's how I met, you know, Evil D. And then eventually when DJ Chuck Chill Out gave Black Moon the opportunity to do their first record, which was Who Got the Props. You know, it's like the bond, you know, between the three of us just formed from there, you know, just doing beats in the basement, you know what I mean? And then as I kept going, I got my record collection going, my equipment going, where I was living in East Flatbush. And, you know, I just started building my catalog, trying to build a name for myself. And thankfully, Steele from Smif-N-Wessun recognized the work and gave me my opportunity to work on the first Smif-N-Wessun album, The Shining. I produced Recognize, which was one of the singles. The remix version was actually done, I think, by Steele, if I'm not mistaken. You know, when they used the Bill Withers sample. But the original version was me.
Like, he came in with the idea for Recognize, right? The album version. And he said, this is what I want to do, blah, 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 blah. He came in and actually put it together. So I was like, oh, okay. And I really listened to that record like a few weeks ago, and I said, yo, that record was genius. That was a genius record.
And then I did another song called Home Sweet Home, which was inspired by the legendary Roy Ayers classic, We Live in Brooklyn. And I did another song called Wipe Your Mouth. It was just a straight hood record, but it was an Amar Jamal sample track, which I think was just classic. You know, it was just fun to make that album, man, just be a part of history.
He's a genius when it comes down to looking for samples and knowing all the samples. Paul is a whiz with that.
There's so much respect between all of us, you know, for the work we did back then. Like, there's plenty of records like Keep It Moving, you know, the way Walt did that track was crazy, you know what I'm saying? Of course, Bucktown, which was a collaborative effort, you know, we all threw our ideas together, and that came out to be amazing. And shout out to Tech and Steel, because, you know, they're legends. They're my heroes in the game. If it wasn't for that first album, you know, it wouldn't have really taught me how to build myself up in the marketplace as far as learning how to be not just a beat maker, but a producer, know how to put records together. Just, you know, I spoke to them earlier this year, and it was just an honor to be able to be recognized 20 years later for the work we did on that album, you know, and to know that they're still out there touring the world, performing those records, doing, you know, live shows with, you know, bands doing alternate versions of the album. It's amazing, man, and I appreciate all the fans for their support.